Welcome to Storyflix. In this video, we will explain Kids on the Slope. This movie tells the story of two different students, a successful but aloof academic and a rebellious but kind-hearted delinquent. Even though they are both different, their love of music forms their friendship. How will their friendship, formed by music, continue? Let's find out in Kids on the Slope.
坂道のアポロン
Kids on the Slope tells a story of a handsome and bespectacled young doctor named Nishimi. Nishimi is currently carrying out his profession as a doctor at a hospital in the pediatrics department. Nishimi is very friendly and loves children. He even occasionally plays with the children visiting the hospital in his spare time at work. Although Nishimi currently works as a doctor, he dreamed of becoming a jazz pianist. Nishimi's love for jazz began when he was still in high school in 1966. The scene changes to the past, when Nishimi is still living his life as a high school student. At that time, Nishimi was a transfer school student from Yokosuka. So Nishimi still doesn't know anyone and doesn't have a friend. But fortunately, there was a girl from his class who came to Nishimi's desk named Ritsuko. Ritsuko kindly introduces herself to Nishimi as a class administrator and invites him to be friends. Nishimi, fascinated by Ritsuko's beauty and grace, subconsciously looked at her for a while and immediately embarrassed himself in front of Ritsuko. When class time is empty, Nishimi goes to the roof of the school building and plans to relax there. But when Nishimi arrived at the roof door, he found a male student named Kawabuchi Sentaro sleeping, blocking the roof door. Sentaro had purposely left his lessons in class to sleep there. Shortly after, three male students, carrying the key to the roof door, came to Nishimi and Sentaro. They demanded 10,000 yen in exchange for the key to the roof door. Since Nishimi and Sentaro didn't pay, they were asked by the three previous students to leave and return to class. Hearing this, instead of obeying, Sentaro was challenged to grab the key to the roof door to give to Nishimi. After fighting with the three students, Sentaro managed to get the key to the roof. Nishimi looks surprised at Sentaro's indifferent attitude and doesn't think about anything. Nishimi and Sentaro began to know and befriend each other from then on. When Nishimi is at home, his mother often reminds him to focus on school so that he can become a doctor as his parents had hoped. That's why Nishimi's mother doesn't like Nishimi, who always spends his time playing the piano. In addition, the Nishimi family is respectable and respected, so they want Nishimi to have a career in medicine more than music. In fact, Nishimi really likes playing the piano and has a great interest in music. The next day, it is discovered that Sentaro is in the same class as Nishimi. Sentaro has known and been close friends with Ritsuko since they were little. When Nishimi and Ritsuko come home from school together, she explains that, although Sentaro is always fighting and making noise everywhere, actually he is a very good boy and likes to help others. That day Nishimi asked Ritsuko where he could find a shop selling jazz music tapes. Coincidentally, Ritsuko's father turns out to be the owner of a music equipment store and music cassettes of various genres. Ritsuko then finds out that Nishimi likes to play the piano through their conversation. Therefore, Ritsuko tries to introduce Nishimi to the band member who likes to play drums, which is Sentaro. Sentaro loves jazz music and has been fond of playing drums since he was a child. Sentaro often spends his time playing drums at the music studio located in the basement of Ritsuko's father's shop. After knowing that Nishimi likes to play music, Sentaro tries to show his skills in playing drums in the jazz genre. Hearing Sentaro's drumming, Nishimi was very interested because previously, he only played classical music and jazz genre music was something new for him. After Nishimi arrived home, Nishimi, challenged by Sentaro's prowess, immediately practiced a jazz song previously played by Sentaro with enthusiasm. Even at school, Nishimi still trains his fingers to play fresh jazz songs. Sentaro, who saw this, immediately accompanied Nishimi by tapping the drumstick on his desk. After finding the right rhythm, Nishimi's piano playing and Sentaro's drumming began to blend harmoniously. Ritsuko casually enjoyed the song while humming a little. Since then, Ritsuko, Nishimi, and Sentaro have become closer and bonded by their love of music. Every time Sentaro comes home from school, he always invites Nishimi to play in Ritsuko's father's music studio. That day, Ritsuko's father invited a man named Jun to listen to Sentaro and Nishimi's music. Sentaro has long admired Jun for his skill in playing music and composing amazing jazz songs. After that, Nishimi, Sentaro, Jun, and Ritsuko's father finally collaborated to play jazz together. Nishimi plays the piano, Sentaro plays the drums, Jun plays the saxophone, and Ritsuko's dad plays the bass strings. Their playing sounds very energetic with a unified and harmonious melody and rhythm. When summer vacation arrives, Nishimi invites Ritsuko to study together. But instead of studying, Nishimi, Ritsuko, and Sentaro actually spend their summer vacation on vacation at a beach. They seem to really enjoy the holiday and have fun together. At this moment, the relationship between them became even closer. During this holiday period, it is seen that Nishimi shows his interest in Ritsuko and begins to have feelings for her. In the middle of that vacation time, Nishimi, Ritsuko, and Sentaro accidentally met a beautiful girl named Yurika. Upon seeing Yurika's beauty, Sentaro immediately fell in love with her at first sight, which made Ritsuko jealous. It seems that Ritsuko secretly has feelings for Sentaro and Nishimi knows that. Sentaro invites Nishimi to come to his house after school when the holidays are over. From this moment, it is known that Sentaro comes from a simple family and he looks close to all his family members. Sentaro, who usually acts like a delinquent, actually has a warm and loving side to his younger siblings. While Nishimi and Sentaro were having a conversation, Sentaro said that he wanted to be able to meet Yurika. Sentaro invites Nishimi to come to his friend Jun's entertainment venue the next night. At that time, Jun invited Nishimi and Sentaro to give a jazz performance at the venue. After their performance ended, Jun was approached by Yurika to talk together. Nishimi, who saw this, immediately knew that Jun and Yurika had a special relationship. Meanwhile, Sentaro, who was clueless and didn't realize it, seemed pleased with Yurika's presence. Moreover, Yurika asked Sentaro to be the model in her painting. This made Sentaro even more hopeful about being with Yurika. Elsewhere, Nishimi is with Ritsuko at the music studio they used to play music in together. Ritsuko seemed busy preparing a drumstick gift to give to Sentaro. Even though Nishimi really likes Ritsuko, he still helps Ritsuko be with Sentaro. Nishimi doesn't even tell Ritsuko about Sentaro liking Yurika, so Ritsuko doesn't break her heart. But unfortunately, Ritsuko slowly begins to realize that Sentaro is interested in Yurika. The next day, Ritsuko waits for Sentaro to arrive at her music studio to give him a pre-prepared drumsticks gift. But when Ritsuko saw Sentaro coming with Yurika, she felt heartbroken and couldn't hold back her tears. So Ritsuko ran out of the studio crying. Seeing this, Nishimi immediately ran after Ritsuko to calm her down. Just then, Nishimi suddenly kisses Ritsuko and confesses his feelings to her. Seeing Ritsuko's reaction, which looked shocked and immediately left Nishimi, he felt guilty for her. That night, Nishimi came to Sentaro's place to give Ritsuko's gift to Sentaro. Nishimi says that he is jealous of Sentaro, who has a happy family and is loved by Ritsuko. After hearing Nishimi's words, Sentaro invites Nishimi to the church to explain his dark past. In his childhood, Sentaro lived and grew up in a church because he had been abandoned by his parents. When Sentaro was a child, many children bullied him and ostracized him because he had no parents. Even after Sentaro is adopted by a family, he is still often compared to his adoptive father. That's why Sentaro has no happy childhood memories. But all that changed after Sentaro met someone who taught him to play the drums. Since then, Sentaro has started to like drumming and always entertains himself by playing drums in the jazz genre. The next day, Nishimi comes to Ritsuko's place to apologize for yesterday's incident. However, the door to Ritsuko's house was locked and there was no sign of Ritsuko's presence at home. Nishimi, who coincidentally meets Ritsuko's younger sister, asks her to send a message of apology to Ritsuko. Through an anonymous phone call, Nishimi said that he felt very sorry for making the girl he loved to cry. Nishimi then said that he was relieved to have confessed his feelings to the person he loved, even though he was rejected. On the other hand, Sentaro, who was riding his motorbike, accidentally saw Jun hanging out with Yurika. At this point, Sentaro begins to realize that Jun and Yurika have been in a relationship all along. Sentaro, feeling jealous and annoyed, started to make a fuss in the school and fight with some students. Nishimi then came to Sentaro and tried to calm him. However, Sentaro is even angrier with Nishimi because Nishimi didn't tell him about the relationship between Jun and Yurika, even though he already knew about it. The next day, Sentaro was invited by another classmate to join a rock band. Sentaro, who is still annoyed with Nishimi, finally accepts the offer, even though he doesn't really want to do it. On the night of the school arts festival performance, Sentaro doesn't seem to enjoy the performance and doesn't play his drums with all his heart. Suddenly, there was a power outage in the middle of a musical performance, so Nishimi, as the committee, had to fix it immediately. At that time, Nishimi, Ritsuko, and Sentaro accidentally bump into each other, and during that meeting, Sentaro says that he wants to get back to playing jazz with Nishimi. Hearing this, Nishimi then played the piano on the festival stage with a jazz melody. Sentaro, who heard Nishimi's musical accompaniment, excitedly began to play his drums. The epic collaboration between Sentaro's drumming and Nishimi's piano playing has finally happened. Since that night, the relationship between Nishimi, Sentaro, and Ritsuko has improved again. The next day, Nishimi, Sentaro, and Ritsuko plan to have a jazz performance at a party that the church will host on Christmas Eve. Ritsuko will be joining the show as their band's vocalist. In the afternoon, when Ritsuko and Sentaro are riding a motorbike to go to the show, Ritsuko tries to tell Sentaro that she is starting to have feelings for Nishimi. Because Ritsuko's voice is too small, Sentaro can't hear her words and starts to lose focus on riding his motorbike. When they arrived at the intersection, the motorbike Sentaro and Ritsuko were riding in had an accident. Sentaro suffered minor injuries, but Ritsuko immediately lost consciousness because she was badly injured. Nishimi, who heard the news of the accident, immediately ran to the hospital, where Ritsuko was being treated. Ritsuko still hasn't woken up and is in a coma indefinitely. As a result of the accident, their Christmas Eve show was eventually cancelled. Sentaro feels very guilty for causing an accident that leaves Ritsuko badly injured. Sentaro begins to think that he is always causing trouble for other people in his life. A few days later, Ritsuko finally wakes up from her coma. But at the same time, Sentaro has disappeared from Nishimi and Ritsuko's lives since that night. The film changes to a scene at the beginning of the film. Nishimi has been living his profession as a doctor according to his family's expectations. That day, June and Yurika came to see Nishimi give clues about Sentaro's whereabouts. After receiving the address, Nishimi went straight to a school where Ritsuko taught as a teacher. Nishimi wants to invite Ritsuko to meet with Sentaro. Before they meet Sentaro, Ritsuko decides to accept Nishimi's previous declaration of love. So Nishimi and Ritsuko have officially dating. After that, they came to a church where Sentaro was playing music. That day, finally, Nishimi, Ritsuko, and Sentaro meet again. The film closes with a scene where Sentaro and Nishimi play musical instruments together to accompany a jazz song that will be sung by Ritsuko. The moral that can be learned from this movie is how Nishimi, Ritsuko, and Sentaro have tried to maintain their friendly relationship until now.